I'll never forget the moment Detective Rogers at the Seattle Police Department pressed play on the tablet. There on the screen was my sister. In my basement. In my home. Quietly poisoning my 9-year-old son. Her voice crackled through the speakers as she said, "Once the court labels Elena unfit, guardianship goes to us. Then her son's trust becomes ours." My heartbeat slammed into my ribs. The room tunneled. The detective looked at me and said, "Ms. Reyes, this is felony child endangerment and guardianship fraud." And right then, right there, my entire world shattered. This is the story of how I picked up the broken pieces and used every single one to cut down the people who betrayed us, legally, cleanly, and without mercy. If you've ever been betrayed by someone who was supposed to protect you, or if you've ever wished justice would finally hit someone who deserved it, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and settle in, because this is the most emotionally charged, legally devastating revenge story you'll hear this year. My name is Elena Reyes, 40, divorced, raising my 9-year-old son Micah in Ballard. Seattle rain has its own personality. It doesn't fall. It drifts. Soft. Persistent. Like the sky wants to wash something away but can't decide what. I'd just come home from a 5-day work trip to San Francisco. The house was too quiet. My suitcase wheels tapped across the hardwood. Then footsteps. Small ones. Fast ones. Micah barreled into my arms. His body was trembling. Pulled. Clinging. "Mom, please don't make me take Aunt Nikki's pills anymore. Please. They make me sleepy and I throw up." The way he whispered it, like he was confessing a crime, sent a sharp bolt of terror straight through me. Before I could react, my sister Nikki appeared in the kitchen doorway. Arms crossed. Eyebrows lifted. Fake smile tight as a bowstring. "Elena, relax. They're vitamins. He's being dramatic." My mother didn't even look up. "Elena, sweetheart, Nikki's just helping. You're always traveling. Be grateful she's here." My father clicked the TV volume lower. "You need structure for the boy. You're barely home." Micah's fingers dug into my sleeve like he was drowning and I was the last rope left. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. The air felt off. Like the house was holding its breath. I put my arm around him. My pulse thudding in my neck. "Micah," I whispered softly. "I hear you. I believe you." That was the moment everything shifted. The moment my emotional storm began forming. The house slept. But my mind didn't. All night I heard Micah's words over and over. "They make me sleepy. Philip, please stop making me take them." At 2:14 a.m. I slipped into Nikki's room. The moonlight stretched a thin silver bar across the carpet. Her suitcase sat open. Behind folded sweaters was a small white bottle. No pharmacy label. No dosage information. Just masking tape with her handwriting. "Vitamins." My throat tightened. I twisted the cap. A sharp chemical reek rose out. Familiar. I'd smelled it in adult nighttime cold medicine. In over-the-counter sleep aids. Not vitamins. Not even close. My hands shook. My stomach dropped like I'd been pushed off a cliff. My breath came in short, sharp bursts. Micah had been vomiting. Sleeping odd hours. His speech had slurred last week. A chill crept across my skin. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't help. It was poison. Administered by my own sister. I closed the bottle with trembling hands. Then I spent the rest of the night in Micah's room, sitting against the door, holding him every time he shifted in sleep, checking his breathing every few minutes. And as the sky lightened outside, I made a promise. I will protect you even if I have to protect you from my own blood. By dawn, the rain had turned into a fine, cold mist. I wrapped Micah in his Seahawks blanket and drove straight to Seattle Children's Hospital. The waiting room smelled like disinfectant and lemon floor polish. Sea-themed murals covered the walls. Bright blues, greens, smiling cartoon dolphins. Felt cruel. A cheerful lie. Dr. Daphne Lowell, pediatric toxicologist, examined Micah. Slow reflexes. Drooping eyelids. Slurred responses. Her face tightened. We're doing blood work right now. They wheeled him away. I sat alone in a small consultation room holding that unlabeled bottle so tight it left marks on my palm. Time blurred. The fluorescent lights flickered. The HVAC hummed. I couldn't stop bouncing my knee. Then Dr. Lowell returned. One look at her expression. And the world around me faded into silence. "Miss Reyes," she said gently, "your son's blood shows extremely elevated levels of diphenhydramine. Far above safe adult dosage." I blinked. Swallowed hard. The room tilted. "This wasn't an accident," she continued. "This was administered repeatedly. This is considered prolonged sedation." My voice came out strangled. "Will he be okay?" "If it stops now, yes. But long-term, this could have caused permanent cognitive damage." I felt my heart crack wide open. She took the bottle from me. "We're calling CPS and hospital security. This fits the criteria for child endangerment and medical neglect." My hands went numb. My ears rang. I couldn't feel my legs. But somewhere inside, beneath the shock and terror, a spark lit. Focused. Controlled. A spark that whispered, "They hurt my child. The law will handle the rest." I returned home at 3 p.m. Rain still fell, tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. Dad was watching the news. Mom folding laundry. Nikki scrolling through her phone. I dropped the lab report onto the coffee table. Nikki read first. Her face drained of color. Her mouth opened, then closed. Dad frowned. "Doctors exaggerate. Labs screw up." Mom wrung her hands. "Nikki only wanted to help. You're always gone, Elena." Nikki's voice cracked. "It's just a stronger vitamin. You're blowing this up." My voice felt flat. Hollow. "I already gave the bottle to Seattle Children's. CPS and SPD are involved." Silence. Heavy. Dense. Suffocating. Dad finally spoke. Quiet. "You're going to ruin this family." I stared at him with tears burning behind my eyes. "You poisoned my son." He looked away. Mom looked down. Nikki stared at the floor. That was when I understood. They didn't just know. They were part of it. And I wasn't safe in my own home. That night as they slept, I opened my laptop. Logged onto Best Buy. Ordered 4 indoor security cameras for immediate pickup. I wasn't done. Not even close. Sunday morning. My parents announced they were going to Fred Meyer Ballard for groceries. Nikki followed, reusable bags slung over her shoulder. The second their car rolled around the corner, I moved. No hesitation. No second-guessing. Just motion. I pulled the ladder from the garage. Set it up beneath the basement beam. My hands were shaking. But not from fear. From adrenaline. From purpose. From a clarity I had never felt before. By 11 a.m. 4 cameras were live. Basement ceiling, catching every angle of the couch and stairs. Living room crown molding, hidden in shadow. Front entrance, capturing every arrival. Upstairs hallway, watching every bedroom door. Each one synced to a brand new cloud account. Complex password. 2-factor authentication. No one else had access. No blinking lights. No sound. Invisible. Installed with the precision of someone who had been hurt too deeply to ever be careless again. When I finished, I stood in the silent hallway, my heart pounding like distant war drums. Something inside whispered, "Let them show you who they really are." The next morning, I dropped Micah at school and drove to my office in South Lake Union. Tech offices. Glass buildings. Electric scooters zipping past. The smell of coffee everywhere. I sat at my standing desk pretending to review a project report. The buzz. Motion detected, front door. My stomach tightened. My thumb hovered. But the camera feed opened. Nikki, still in pajama shorts, opened the door. A man stepped inside. Dark hair. Navy coat. 2 coffees in hand. She kissed him. Hard. Like she'd been waiting hours. I froze. Then she led him straight to the basement. I switched feeds. The basement camera captured them in clear, merciless HD. Coffee cups on the old trunk. Her climbing onto his lap. His hands sliding under her shirt. Laughing. Whispering. Kissing. In my house. In my basement. While I worked to pay the rent. I clutched the edge of my desk to keep from shaking apart. But this wasn't the worst part. Not even close. The next day he arrived again. And again. And again. 3 days in a row. Time. Coffee in hand. Fused neatly by the door. Straight to the basement. Like clockwork. Like habit. Like entitlement. They danced to music. Barefoot. Laughing. Drinking wine. Wednesday he brought Thai takeout. Fed her noodles between kisses. Thursday morning he arrived with a duffel bag. And left it there the entire day. I watched all of it. Every second. Every touch. Every stolen moment in my home. Not because I cared about their affair. But because I needed to understand the full scope of the betrayal. And I could feel something deeper brewing. More sinister. More intentional. My instinct screamed. This isn't just cheating. Something else is happening. And on Friday, I finally learned the truth. I left work early and parked 3 houses away, under the dripping branches of a maple tree. Laptop open. Camera feed live. At 8:17 a.m. the man walked in again. This time with coffee in a small paper bag. Nikki met him at the door wearing my favorite flannel. They went to the basement. She flicked on the string lights she'd hung last month. Soft amber glow. She pushed him onto the couch. Straddled him. Kissed him slow. Then she pulled back just enough for the camera above them to catch her expression. And her words. Words that changed everything. Everything is on track. Micah failed another spelling test. His teacher already emailed about processing issues. My blood froze. Darren laughed quietly. So the dosage is working? Nikki smirked. Oh yeah. Another month and no pediatrician will question a developmental delay diagnosis. I felt sick. But she wasn't done. Once mom and dad get guardianship of a special needs child, the court will hand them control of Micah's trust. My heart stopped. Darren leaned back. So the house too? Nikki nodded. Yes. The house is tied to the trust. We liquidate the asset. Pay off dad's debt. Give mom security. And the rest. She touched Darren's chest. Our fresh start. My vision blurred. Tears stung my eyes. My breath hitched painfully. She was planning to drug my son. To make him appear cognitively impaired. So my parents could take guardianship. And legally seize his trust fund and home. My family. Planning my downfall. In my house. While drinking my coffee. I watched the scene through the rain streaking my windshield, replaying the clip in a loop, making sure I hadn't misheard. I hadn't. Every word was real. And something inside me snapped. Not in rage. Not in sorrow. In resolve. Pulled back. Sharper than fear. I whispered to myself. You wanted me unfit. Now watch how fit I am to take you down. That night I gathered everything. Every video clip. Every audio snippet. Every timestamp. The toxicology report. Hospital documentation. A log of Micah's symptoms. My travel schedule. Even screenshots of their affectionate behavior. I didn't rage. Didn't cry. I turned into someone else. Someone I never thought I'd be. Calm. Precise. Dangerously focused. I backed up everything to an encrypted drive. Separate cloud. 2 USBs hidden in different locations. My family wanted to play legal chess. I was arriving at the board with every piece accounted for. And I wasn't playing to win. I was playing to end the game entirely. Saturday afternoon. Seattle rain had stopped, leaving the pavement outside shimmering like warped glass. Inside the house, warm yellow light spilled from the kitchen. Mom was stirring marinara sauce. Dad slicing ciabatta. Looked like a picture of normalcy, if you didn't know the darkness festering beneath it. From the basement came laughter. Nikki's laugh. Carefree. Unaware. I walked inside. Set my tote bag down. Closed the door with a soft click that somehow sounded final. Then I reached into my pocket, opened my phone and tapped a single button. Instantly the house's built-in speakers, connected to the same Wi-Fi as my cameras, blasted Nikki's voice throughout every room. Once they get guardianship, the trust is ours. Elena keeps her job and her suitcase. Mom froze. The wooden spoon slipped from her fingers and clattered into the pot. Dad's knife hovered midair. The garlic smell suddenly felt sickening. Nikki and Darren's footsteps pounded up the basement stairs. They burst into the kitchen. Nikki's face went sheet white. Darren backed up toward the back door. I didn't move. The speakers played the next line. We sell the house. Dad pays his debt. Mom gets her cushion. And the rest is our fresh start. Dad shot forward. Turn that off. Now. Mom grabbed her chest. Elena, don't do this. Nikki screamed, you spying bitch. She lunged. I stepped back, held my phone up like a shield. Touch me and this entire drive goes straight to the police. Everything stopped. Darren whispered, Nikki, I'm leaving. She grabbed his wrist. You're not leaving me. He yanked free like she was burning him. He bolted out the back door. The screen slammed shut behind him. Dad tried again. You will destroy this family. My voice trembled but didn't break. You destroyed it the moment you poisoned my son. Mom stumbled backward into a chair, sobbing. Nikki's eyes burned with the fury of someone who had just watched her entire plan crumble. You were never meant to have this house, she screamed. You don't deserve Micah. I dialed 911 on speaker. The room fell silent. 911, what's your emergency? My name is Elena Reyes. I have evidence of child poisoning, guardianship fraud, and financial conspiracy. I need Seattle PD and CPS at my address. Dad stepped toward me. Threatening. Desperate. But he stopped when the dispatcher said, Units are being sent now. Stay on the line. For the first time, my parents looked afraid. 11 minutes later, flashing lights lit up the living room through the rain-damp windows. 2 officers stepped inside. Serious faces, calm voices. A CPS worker followed with a clipboard. Ma'am, Officer Hanley said. We received your call. You said you have evidence. I handed him a USB drive. My sister drugged my son. My parents plan to file for guardianship using falsified developmental delays. I have video and audio. He plugged it into his tablet. The room filled with the sound of Nikki's voice again. Crystal clear. Once Mom and Dad get guardianship, the trust is ours. Officer Hanley's jaw tightened. CPS knelt beside Micah, who had wandered down the stairs clutching his stuffed wolf. The worker spoke softly. Gentle, warm voice. Micah, did someone give you pills when Mom wasn't home? He nodded. Aunt Nikki gave me the white ones. They made me sleepy and my head felt fuzzy. The CPS worker's expression hardened. She stood. Micah will be transported for immediate medical evaluation. Nikki screamed. You can't take him. You can't. Officer Hanley stepped between us. Ma'am, please remain where you are. Dad tried to argue. Mom sobbed. We were trying to help. Officer Hanley looked at me. Ms. Reyes, do you want these individuals removed from your property? I nodded. This is my home. I revoke their residency immediately. Understood. Nikki shrieked as she was guided outside. You'll pay for this. You'll pay. But her voice faded into the night. The door closed behind them. And for the first time in months, the house was silent. At Seattle Children's Hospital, Micah was admitted for monitoring. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The faint scent of antiseptic filled the hallway. Micah held my hand as they hooked him to monitors. His small fingers curled around mine like he was anchoring himself to me. Mom, are we safe now? I smoothed his hair back. Yes, baby. We're safe now. A nurse brought me a blanket. I sat in the reclining chair beside his bed, listening to the steady beep of the heart monitor. The storm inside me finally started to quiet. 5 days later, we walked into King County Family Court. The courtroom smelled like varnished wood and old paper. The air felt thick with expectation. Nikki sat pale and shaking at the respondent's table. Her attorney, a young, exhausted-looking man, kept whispering to her. My parents sat behind her. Mom wore sunglasses indoors to hide swollen eyes. Dad stared straight ahead, jaw clenched. Judge Valencia Patel entered. Sharp eyes. Cold authority. My attorney Melissa Hartman stood. Your Honor, we request a 5-year permanent no-contact order, plus civil damages. The judge nodded. Proceed. The evidence parade begins. Melissa played. The basement confession. The kitchen midnight plot. Every clip with audio. The toxicology report. Micah's medical records. Dr. Lowell's expert testimony. CPS's findings. Nikki's attorney scrambled. They were vitamins. The judge cut him off. Then why is there a sedative in the child's bloodstream? Dad attempted to testify. The judge warned him. Sir, perjury carries criminal charges. He sat back down. Mom refused to speak. The truth had done its job. Judge Patel's ruling. After a brief recess, she returned with a decision that echoed like a hammer hitting stone. I find clear evidence of deliberate child endangerment and guardianship fraud. Nikki began to sob. Effective immediately, a 5-year no-contact order is established for all 3 respondents. Dad looked stunned. Mom swayed in her seat. The judge continued. Additionally, civil damages in the amount of $52,000 are awarded to Ms. Reyes for medical bills, therapy, and emotional harm. CPS's criminal case will proceed separately. Her gavel came down. Nikki collapsed over the table. Mom pressed both hands over her mouth. Dad stared at me with a mixture of hatred and defeat. I didn't look away. I didn't owe them softness. I owed Micah safety. Life didn't magically return to normal. It rebuilt itself, piece by piece. Micah's color came back. His eyes brightened. He started laughing again. The kind of laugh that fills a house like sunlight. His teacher sent me a note. Micah is showing incredible improvement. Focused. Confident. I cried reading it. Quiet tears of relief. We repainted the house. Soft blues and gentle greens. I changed every lock. Replaced every password. Installed new security. My parents moved to a small rental in Renton. Nikki works nights at a convenience store in Auburn. Wage garnishment now automatically drains her paycheck. Do I miss them? No. I miss the version of them that never really existed. Because the people who drugged my child were strangers wearing familiar faces. Blood doesn't make someone family. Safety does. Love does. Protection does. Micah and I, we're a whole family. Just us two. And that's enough. More than enough. If this story hit you in the chest, if it made you believe in legal justice, if it reminded you that no betrayal is too strong for truth to destroy, hit that like button. Subscribe for more stories where the villains get exposed and the innocent get their life back. And tell me in the comments, what's the most shocking betrayal you've ever seen? Because healing starts with sharing, and justice starts with courage.